Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, presented by T.A. Forsberg and Wagoner Financial. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
So in July of 2021, we introduced a concept being discussed called Strikeout Baseball and the plan to establish a facility here in Lansing. 2 years and a lot of hard work later, the team is back to give us a status update, and here to discuss the exciting concept plan for our region is the founder of Strikeout Baseball, Mr. Jeff Lazaros, and joining him is a sponsor and community activist, Mr. Ben Bakken. Big fan of Mr. Bakken. Welcome to the show, Jeff and Ben.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So, Jeff, we're going to give plenty of the mic time to you, but let me just start off and talk with Ben a little bit about TriStar Trust and what's your role in here. I mean, I'm really glad to have you back on the show. You seem to be knowledgeable, but what's your role in Strikeout Baseball?
Yeah, sure thing. It's good to see you too, Chris. So I'm the Lansing Market Director for TriStar Trust, but TriStar has a community foundation, the TriStar Charitable Community Foundation, and we're a huge participant and sponsor in this, and we're excited to be just because of the reach of what it does in terms of strikeout baseball. You know, obviously baseball's in the name. Baseball's a big part of it. World class, and Hall of Fame athlete from Lansing who's involved. But for TriStar, it's not about baseball. You know, it's about how it transforms communities, which speaks to our higher purpose, the focus of community revitalization, which is key to the TriStar Charitable Foundation for this year, focusing on underserved, forgotten communities to an extent, and the positive impact on kids. So we're here for reasons outside of baseball, and a great opportunity for others to be involved as well.
That's great. And I really appreciate you staying close to it too, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, plenty of companies can write a check and have it go on a sign on the outfield or whatever, but to have you really be as entrenched in this as you have been is really a testament to your character and the character of TriStar. So, and then, we'll give a tip of the cap to Director of Operations, Vic Verschero, who couldn't join us here today. He was scheduled to be here, but I think he's going to channel through Ben's comments because I think they've been communicating, and Jeff as well. So, Jeff, talk a little bit about, to remind our folks, if they haven't heard the last couple of episodes when we've given some updates, how did the concept of Strikeout Baseball begin, and what is it actually going to be?
I always tell people I didn't create the game Strikeout Baseball. What we created was a cool venue to make it fun and engaging and exciting. This stadium is going to be world class. We're really excited to have John on board, of course. We're excited to see what it can do to grow the game and to get our kids just playing our national pastime again. That's really the drive behind this, is to not only give hope to the kids in the Ferris Park and the Lansing community, but as we expound on this whole concept, we look at the future of what Strikeout Baseball can do in developing a love for the game. And that's really what excites us, especially with our younger kids, like we said, who often get forgotten.
Yep.
So that's really that's the driven mission of Strikeout Baseball, is to grow the love of the game and to give that hope to the kids.
And you're right. I mean, baseball in my youth was just something you'd pick up and go out and play catch and a little pepper out there and getting bats in hands and all that kind of stuff. And the sport, I think, generally has eroded a little bit over time. And I'll tell you what, as a fan, I'm really actually grateful for some of the changes they've made this year. Yeah. I think the pitch clock and the pace of play, the bigger bases, stolen bases. I hear attendance is up in almost every park. The speed of the game at 2.5 hours keeps you engaged. The only downside is, if you're at the park and you go up and get a beer and you come back, you've lost like 2.5 innings.
Right. Well, they've extended the eighth inning deadline now for alcohol consumption. They've moved that to the end of the game even.
Got it. Okay. And I do have to throw it out there. You just offhandedly mentioned some guy named John. Why don't you go ahead and, just for those who haven't heard the other show, who is John and why is that important that he's involved?
We all know who John Smoltz is. We're really excited that he's kind of gotten involved with us early on. He's been involved with us from the onset. And one of the cool things is that, he even says, this isn't just about attaching my name to this. This is about being active in the community and creating that, development of love for the game and to get kids educated that otherwise might not ever pick up a bat or a ball.
Right.
So one of the little quick stories I like to tell that in how deeply John is engaged in this project is we got a piece of netting that covers the entire stadium, right?
Okay.
And it's supposed to be shipped in one piece. And I get home, it was in the fall last year, and I got 3 big boxes sitting in front of my garage, and I thought, oh my gosh, they shipped it in 3 pieces. So I immediately envisioned like sewing this netting together, right? It was 3 huge boxes full of brand new, beautiful Wilson baseball gloves that John made a phone call And I get choked up talking about it because that's how much he cares about these kids.
Wow.
We're gonna give gloves to these kids in the communities that don't even own a baseball glove. And it's going to be really exciting to have some of the programming that we want to have in place.
Yep.
You know, of course, Jake Boss is part of our advisory board. Jake is going to work with us to get some of the MSU players involved to run some clinics.
MSU baseball head coach, for those who don't know.
Yep. And we want to get some of the lug nuts people are involved as well. So we want to get some guys that really are recognizable baseball people here in the Lansing community to work with our kids, pitching, hitting, fielding, give away gloves, give away bats. And then, of course, educate on the demographic of strikeout baseball.
Right. Okay.
So, you know, growing up in Detroit, I grew up in the city. I worked at Tiger Stadium as a kid. We played 9-on-9, and there was 9 guys waiting to play the winning team. You're talking 30 kids at a park.
Right.
We just don't see that. And that's what we're trying to bring back, and that's one of the things John advocates is no coaches, no umpires, no parents. Let's just give the kids a place to play pickup baseball. And that's really what the cool thing about Strikeout is. It doesn't cost the kids anything. Show up, pick up a game, first come, first serve. We're hoping we can expand on this and build them throughout the city and who knows where else.
Mm-hmm. And so the idea, though, is to not need 9-on-9, right? So for those who haven't heard some of the previous shows, talk about the layout of the facility and how it's meant to even grab smaller groups of kids.
Yeah, it's about 5,000 square feet. So there'll be state-of-the-art graphics that replicate being in a stadium. It's a confined area where the ball doesn't leave.
Okay.
And you could play 1-on-1, 2-on-2. It's ideally set up for a full infield and a pitcher. So 5-on-5 is the optimal game. And it's a lot of fun. So you're pitching, hitting, and fielding. You're interacting, and we really believe that the kids are going to get a kick out of learning how to play this game.
Yeah.
But more importantly, just get them out pitching, hitting, and fielding, and learning our game.
So how does the outfield work then? So the fence basically goes right behind the deep infield?
Yeah, your infield will be standing with their backs to a wall, and the wall will have markings that will dictate an out, a hit, a double, triple, whatever. So there's some modified rules. There's no fly balls because it's a net, and there's no base running, so you don't run the bases.
Oh, okay.
So you're playing with ghost runners, as we called them when we were growing up.
That's right.
So
ghost runner out there.
Right field's out, pitcher's hand, all that. So I'm sure there's going to be some modifications made, and hopefully the kids will
make up their own rules.
I was going to say, we were going to say, hopefully the kids get creative like we did. I mean, how many of us played ball with a tape? We had a tape ball.
Right.
Whatever we had, right? But the cool thing is that we're going to have a specific ball that's designed for this game. It's a rubber ball that bounces back.
Okay.
So there's no catcher. There's a strike zone. One of the things John has been adamant about is wanting to potentially incorporate some electronics into the game eventually. So we're working with some folks at TrackMan to talk about what their potential involvement could be and maybe incorporating that down the road. So it's really exciting where this could potentially go.
Got it. Okay, so this is a built facility here in Lansing. We'll talk about the where it's going to be and when it's going to be. But so basically, if a batter, lines one over the shortstop's head, it's going to hit a wall and probably land on the wall where it says double or
it just hits a spot. There's sections that are designated for the hit.
Right.
But
that's great. Okay, so and this is all new. This is not like some franchise like a trampoline park or anything like that. This is your brainchild that's coming to the first time obviously a group of people, but so this facility here in Lansing is the only strikeout baseball that will be in existence, at least until you replicate that.
The first of its kind in the world that we've been saying, and we're excited that we're excited that we're offering an opportunity for the community to be involved.
Right.
That's really exciting because now not only are we building the stadium, we want the community involved. We want them to be a part of it. We have brick sales. We have obviously companies like TriStar and on, all the different companies and entities that have ponied up some dollars to help make the stadium happen. And we are a nonprofit. We're a 501c3, which is a key piece in all this.
So talk about that fundraising, right? So you have this idea and you've sketched it all out on a cocktail napkin and said, wouldn't it be cool if it looks like this? Now it's like, okay, let's price this out.
Did you see that cocktail napkin? How did you know that?
A lot of great ideas starting with cocktail napkins.
Back of the envelope. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. So talk a little bit about the fundraising and talk about the money and the dollar signs and how that all works.
You know what? I'll let Ben take over from here for a minute and talk about what their involvement is and why we're here to try to just round out the funding for the project.
That's great.
And that's one of the things that I think is really special about this is that, again, if we take a big step back with the project, it's, John Smoltz, Lansing guy, went on to greatness, Hall of Fame, passion for baseball. And his concept of 2 kids, a bat and a ball, can go play. And I love that when I first heard him say that. He spoke at the economic club that the Lansing Chamber of Commerce put on. And he talked about when he was used to be in his backyard and you could play one-on-one baseball. And that there's other sports that are more accessible for two kids to go play, shooting basketball in a park, which is, that, I mean, let's be honest, I'm 6'10". That's kind of more my wheelhouse. But two kids, a bat and a ball, can go play baseball. And I think that that's special. But I also think what's really special is that, you know, if John wanted to, you know, he could probably just do the project, and it's his project and it's done. He's given us an opportunity in this community for other people to come forward and have skin in the game and participate in its success. And that's one of the things that I think is so special about the design of this project, is that, you know, there's the opportunity for people to come forward and have a permanent piece, you know, in the project. So everything from, you know, more significant sponsorship for a corporate entity that might want to be there, to buying a brick, to something that's permanent. So, I mean, yeah, the TriStar Charitable Foundation is involved. Guess what? The Bakkens have a brick too, because it's cool. And there's still that opportunity for other organizations to go to Strikeout Baseball, you know, to the website, to learn more about what those opportunities are, and then know that you have a stake in this, you know, for different community organizations to know that they were part of something special. There's still a big opportunity out there to participate. So
let's jump on that website, strikeoutbaseballusa.org.
Yep.
Strikeoutbaseballusa.org. And there's an opportunity there to learn more, sponsor, or buy a brick.
That's right. There's videos there. You can learn more. You can get involved with sponsorships, or if you have creative other ways. I mean, right now, working toward getting it up. I just drove by it this morning. Like I said, it's at the corner of Walnut and Genesee, right there at Ferris Park. So you can see the concrete's been poured. You can see the bricks are up. You can see the fences are up. You know, excited for a grand opening and first pitch in the spring. It's just awesome how it's coming together. But there will be other things too. There's other ideas that the board has talked about in terms of maybe other technology. So if you're an organization, you say this is special to me, either because you care about baseball or you care about community and involvement and the kids and the opportunities it gives, and you reach out to learn more, there's plenty of opportunities to get involved.
That's great. So Ferris Park. So
blocks from the Capitol.
Right on. So clearly the city must have been involved, right? I mean, so talk about the other partners that maybe made this possible, because clearly you need to get permitting and approvals and buy land or
Brett Kaczynski with the Parks and Rec Department has been a key liaison in connecting the dots for us. Obviously, this has been going on for a little bit, even when Verge was in office here in Lansing.
Yep.
And since the regime change, and we've have Andy Shore on board. He bought into this lock, stock, and barrel. I mean, they allocated the property for this. So
he's a New Yorker, of course. He's probably got a passion for baseball.
There you go.
So we're not only excited about that, but the Parks and Rec Department is going to manage this facility and oversee it. So
nice.
and keep the grounds up and stuff like that. So I'd just like to put a plug out for the board of Strikeout. That's really been a key piece in this. This is, it's my brainchild, and I'm really proud of that. But I'm really humbled by two things: the technology and the things that are going into the design of the stadium, the people that we have involved, the developers and the architects and all that stuff. But boy, the Strikeout board is really something special that we've worked hard to stay in the trenches, stay committed, stay focused. And, of course, I want to put a plug out for Vic, who couldn't be with us. But Vic's been the director of this program from the onset. Yeah. We've been working for a couple years on this. There's a lot of hard work that behind the scenes that people don't see or know about. And it was a learning curve for me, too. I've never been on a board. And here I'm the executive director of the board, and he's kind of just been the guy to keep everything flowing and keep all the things in place. And we really look to him for his guidance. He cares about the community. Anyone can build a business, or anyone can, what's his slogan on the bottom of his card there? Anyone can build a business, I want to make a difference.
Right, that's right.
To that effect. And that's one of the things that Vic is really proud of, is just wanting to make a difference in the community and be involved.
No question. And not to take anything away from any of those folks, but I do want to thank someone who makes this show possible, and that would be my friends at the Forsberg Real Estate Company. So when it comes to creating commercial and residential spaces, there's no one I trust more than my friends at the Forsberg Real Estate Company. Brent Forsberg and his team take a holistic approach to creating an environment that suits your needs while creating a foundation for a prosperous community. Since the 1950s, Forsberg has been a name to trust if you're looking to partner on a project, occupy a great space to live or work, or simply follow one of the great thought leaders of our state. Reach out to my friends at the Forsberg Real Estate Company by calling 517-349-9330 or check out their website at lansingrealestate.com. You will not regret it.
And it's time for another plug.
Yeah.
Brent Forsberg is our developer that has been involved with this project. He's got all the contractors in place, has been a key piece in moving this project forward. What a great guy.
Well, it's right up his alley. I mean, he really told me a long time ago when I first met him, he's like, obviously we want every project to pencil, but we're going to go run towards the things that make the most sense to drive the community vibrancy. And some are going to be more lucrative than others. And the sum of all parts will hopefully keep the checks clearing. But otherwise, we want to do what's right. So it doesn't surprise me at all that he's involved with your project, which is fantastic.
Well, in the light of you saying that, that was one of the things I talked to Brent about. I know he gets busy. I've known him for quite a few years. And I said, this is kind of small peanuts in his world compared to some of the other projects and the magnitude of what he does in the community. And he said, no, this is something that I want to wrap my arms around and help you guys make happen.
That's a great story. So where do things stand right now? You talked about the concrete's poured. You can see some of the walls. So it's clearly underway.
Oh, yeah.
But there is funding that's still needed. And you also teased us with an expectation that spring of 2024 is where things are going to actually start working. So how close are we? What are the timings? Like what's needed?
I'll interject there. We really wanted to get an opening this year. That was really our hope.
In 23.
In 23.
Yep.
And we thought, as we got closer to the summer here and we're right in the middle of summer, we thought it didn't make sense to open this thing and have to kind of shut it down. It is an outdoor venue.
Right.
So to have this thing open and then have a
kick
short
off in October.
And abbreviate, although baseball is pretty exciting in October, right? For all of us guys that love the game.
As a Phillies fan, I can tell you it's exceedingly exciting. Hopefully we'll be this year too.
But we just thought it didn't make sense to open it and then shut it right down. So we thought, with all the programming and some of the clinics that we want to run, we said, let's just delay this. Let's make this really shine and sparkle when we open it and unveil it. Yep. And John has said from the very beginning, he said, let's just make sure everything is right. T's are crossed, I's are dotted. Yep. That gives us a chance to kind of take a deep breath, reevaluate some of the things that are going on. There was some fluctuating costs with concrete and scheduling and a lot of other variables, and anybody that's involved with construction knows that things happen, right?
Right.
So we didn't want to be discouraged by that. We thought that was a breath of fresh air to go, now we can really go at this the way we want to and have a full season next year as baseball is in the air in the spring. And unveil this thing, and it's going to be amazing.
Right,
really
slow
cool.
and right is better than fast and wrong.
Yeah, exactly. and anyone can drive by it now. Like I said, it's at Ferris Park, and you're right. You can see the Capitol left-handed batter is staring at the Capitol. While they're ready for their pitch.
Yep.
I drove by this morning, like I said, corner of Walnut and Genesee. There was someone working on it right there, so it's coming together. It's going to be a great opening in the spring. It's really exciting, and I think a piece that's really important to weave back in here too is where it's going, that it's going, in Lansing. Again, thanks to the, Lansing Parks and Rec Department, for providing the land. But again, this project isn't going out in Grand Ledge. It's not going in DeWitt. It's not going in Holt. It's not going to Waverly, where John was from. I mean, it's going, again, focusing on, maybe an underserved, forgotten area, where there can be a positive impact on kids to go play. That's something that speaks to me as well. And I know that's important to John. It was very intentional about where it goes there. At that same park, there's a Beacon soccer field that's there.
Okay.
Just the opportunity for a kid or a couple kids who want to go to the park, whether they pick up a basketball or a soccer ball or baseball, that they're involved and they're doing something positive and being engaged.
Well, you talk about removing barriers, so there's no financial barrier because there's no cost to get in, but now there's no geographic barrier, transportation barrier. Now these folks can just wander over like we used to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ride your bikes.
Let me share with you a few things, Chris, about what we did to how to fund this. So we have these national pastime wall sections outside the stadium that identify a lot of our bigger sponsors that had, made sizable contributions. But we also, as Ben has mentioned, we have the brick sales.
Yep.
We had some banners that we sold around the outside of the stadium. But we got some really cool opportunities right now if we get some companies to step up, being that we're still rounding out the funding, is we have some seating that's going down first and third base. So we thought, wow, it'd be cool to get a sponsor to sponsor those and have their logo on all the seats on each side of the stadium. And we even talked about having one of the sponsors have their name in the turf. I mean, it's the John Smoltz Strikeout Baseball Stadium.
Okay.
But just like they did over at Jackson Field years ago, where it was Jackson Field and it was Cooley Law School Stadium.
Right.
Well, this is the John Smoltz Stadium, but it could be XYZ Field with somebody's name right in the turf. So there's some really cool sponsorship opportunities still available.
Sure.
And we're hoping just to get this funding in place so we can really make this thing pop and get this thing humming, as John says.
So what you got to do is you got to find some really competitive industry. Then you got to have someone sponsor the home side and someone else sponsor the pass side. So you say, all right, which side of the just to throw it out there.
Yeah,
you can
there you
have
go.
McLaren and Sparrow.
Yeah, I think we just got a fundraising director who just volunteered.
I like it.
But
what are you doing Thursday? We got a fundraising meeting.
I'll check my calendar.
I think the cool takeaway, though, is that if this speaks to anyone who's listening in terms of, the opportunity to engage kids, to do something positive, to play a role, is that just like Jeff gave you the example of the seats, right? That's something that's an idea. There's another opportunity to do that. The board's talked about other things. And when I talked to Vic recently, there's an opportunity, maybe technology ideas. Could we put something in there that maybe could track the speed of a pitch? Could we put something in there that could, potentially a wall, let's say that had, picture Jackie Robinson or Satchel Paige with like a little QR code that you could, scan that and then have them tell you about it. Or certainly one with John talking about why it's important to him, sponsorships for that. I think the big thing is if this is interesting to you, take a drive-by, take a peek at it, go to the website, reach out, and if you're interested and have an idea that this is still, it's happening, but it's also in its infancy stage. And there's a board who's very creative with other ideas about what could happen. And I think that's really cool to be a part of. So
no question at all. StrikeoutBaseballUSA.org is where you can learn more. What else would you like to share before we wrap up? I know we're a little long on time, but when you have energy like this, it's hard to slow down. So we've got time. If you got anything else I haven't asked you questions about that you want to share.
I just want to say thanks for the opportunity to not only expose the project, but just to get the community engaged. We're excited by the enthusiasm that we've seen from some of the churches in the area, and some of the other people that have gotten involved from a business standpoint, but now reaching out to the community itself to be able to say, hey, I was a part of this first facility, and we want to expand on what it can do in Lansing. We had a phone call early on where John wanted to make sure we weren't going to face any resistance when we broke ground with Andy Shore, Brett Kaczynski, and us. And one of the things Andy Shore said was, I think the only opposition we're going to see is different parts of the city are going to say, well, why didn't we get it? We want one here.
Right.
So, hey, that's exciting to hear, too, because now we could say, hey, Lansing's a big enough city. There's enough parks. There's, I think, 122 parks in Lansing.
Sure.
Let's pick another park and start working on number 2. Let's get this going to get our inner city kids playing the game of baseball again.
Right. Well, for those if you're not watching this on the video and listening to this, if you have any questions about the quality that this is going to be, you'll notice that Jeff's wearing a Seattle Mariners hat. Personally attended this year's All-Star game, met a couple of dignitaries and some other folks that are going to help this cause. So this is a baseball fan through and through, and just really appreciate you guys both being on. Appreciate what you're doing for the community. It's a story that's got to be told. Love to have you back in the spring, where we can talk about first pitch and whatever the gaps are there that need to be filled.
Anyone can make a living. I want to make a difference.
That's the
Vic
word.
Verchereau's tagline.
Mm-hmm. Vic, we missed you, buddy, but I appreciate you being here in spirit. Jeff and Ben, thanks so much for coming to talk about Strikeout Baseball. StrikeoutBaseballUSA.org. Have a great day, everyone.
We'll be back.